9 animal cruelty cases recorded in Wiltshire last year. Prosecutions for animal cruelty have returned to pre-pandemic levels in Wiltshire as offenders face tougher penalties for harming pets and other creatures. In 2021, 9 cases were brought against people in our area over accusations of cruelty to animals, and 7 resulted in a conviction. That is up from 2 prosecutions and 2 convictions the previous year, and similar to 2019, the year before the coronavirus pandemic, when there were 8 prosecutions and 4 convictions. As a result of convictions last year, a total of 7 separate sentences were handed out, including 1 immediate prison sentence, 2 suspended sentences, 3 fines, and 1 community sentence. To stay up to date with latest top stories, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the button above this video. Across all of England and Wales, there were 738 prosecutions of animal cruelty offences and 536 convictions last year, up from 537 prosecutions and 398 convictions in 2020. But that was far below the pre-pandemic figure of 1,017 prosecutions and 800 convictions. The reduced numbers of prosecutions over the last 2 years are likely to be at least partly caused by court delays as a result of the pandemic. However, charities have raised fears that coronavirus restrictions, including lockdowns and the forced isolation of individual households, may have hidden much of the offending. A spokesperson for animal charity Battersea, which campaigned to increase the maximum sentence for animal cruelty, said, "In an ideal world, the number of animal cruelty cases dropping in recent years would mean that there are less acts of cruelty occurring. However, there are a number of other potential reasons which might explain a decrease in animal-related prosecutions. The most likely of which is the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. With lockdown and isolation, there would have been a reduced number of people witnessing and reporting animal cruelty, and restrictions meant courts were understaffed and reportedly saw a huge backlog of cases that have still not made it to trial. To ensure the courts begin to use the more substantial sentences to reflect the severity of certain animal welfare crimes, the Sentencing Council must publish their guidance for courts, which should reflect the government's decision to introduce 5-year sentences and the public's clear wish to see offenders properly penalized. Only then will the worst perpetrators of animal cruelty face real justice. It comes after the maximum sentence for animal cruelty offences was raised from 6 months to 5 years from the end of June 2021. The courts could issue the new maximum sentences in cases involving dog fighting, abuse of puppies and kittens, illegally cropping a dog's ears, and gross neglect of farm animals. As well as a prison sentence, offenders can receive an unlimited fine. But the new tougher prison sentences have not yet been reflected in Ministry of Justice figures. In fact, average sentences handed to the most serious offenders deemed deserving of immediate prison have fallen slightly over the last 3 years. The average prison term handed out by the courts was 3.9 months in 2019. That fell to 3.8 months in 2020 and again to 3.7 months last year. Meanwhile, average fines handed out by the courts have increased from 255 in 2019 to 407 last year. But animal rights charities are expecting courts to use the new powers to get tough with animal abusers by handing out maximum sentences to the worst offenders. Speaking after the law change, Chris Sherwood, chief executive of the RSPCA, said, "This law is a huge step forward for animal welfare in the UK, and we're delighted that justice will now be served for animals. Tougher sentences will act as a stronger deterrent to potential animal abusers and will help us in our aim to stamp out animal cruelty once and for all."